I'll start. So I'm Sherry Burgee with Black Real Estate in Frederick, and this is Joe O'Connell with Embrace Home Loans in Frederick. And Joe's agreed to talk with me a little bit today, just to talk about how the pandemic has affected home buyers and what you're seeing on your side of financing. And then we can lead into some other stuff from there. So I guess that is the first question, Joe, is what is different for you guys as lenders that you're seeing in the midst of this pandemic?
It's really been kind of interesting going into this. Everybody knows that right now we're near historic low rates, if not at them still in some scenarios. And so going into the pandemic, we've been going through a refinance boom. Everybody's been trying to refinance their homes, and that's been the chatter. So, going into that, we were very, very busy and, running at full capacity. And then, we kind of also go into a bit of a shutdown. So, I was very fortunate being with a company prepared for this and, having a lot of the technology in place so that we can all work from home. But it was, really interesting then because you've got all these applications rolling in, everybody's working from home, everybody's trying to figure things out. And, a perfect storm is setting up for all kinds of things for, people in different markets. People are being laid off, people are, in all kinds of financial uncertainty right now. And, you still do have a portion of people that are coming out and saying, now is the time that I have a steady paycheck coming in. There are still homes on the market. Rates are really low. And we're actually seeing an uptick in the applications for purchases currently.
Very good. I think it was a learning curve for all of us as well. Learning to work from home and putting processes into place. But, our market is still moving along really well. Our low inventory and the low interest rates, we're seeing that buyers who have the capability are still buying houses. So I think you touched on that. So we really have been pretty busy because of the low inventory. It's a good, the houses are moving. But fortunately, for me, I've been in a position with my buyers that they are essential workers, so they've kept their jobs. But what advice would you have for someone who maybe, is temporarily furloughed, or someone who is still looking but still working? How would they keep their credit going and keep things moving along? They are a strong candidate for a loan and can continue that process.
First and foremost, it's terrible that I'm having that conversation with a lot of people every day. We're all in a position that, we've never seen this before. There's a lot of uncertainty for some people coming in and, am I going to be able to purchase when I get back to work? And right now, there's not an answer for everybody. I am having people that have been laid off temporarily, are back to work already and back to a full-time capacity, and they're working at it. And, those people are able to continue on down the process. But I'm not really sure how it's going to come into play when you start looking at some of these folks that are, maybe a commission employee or somebody that runs off of tips, in a restaurant setting or something like that, because we're all not really sure how things are going to look when they all get back to work. So, definitely, I think that as much as nobody's bringing money in right now, currently working, I know that I am talking to a lot of clients that are saying that, as little as coming in, I'm saving a lot of money. I'm not going out. I'm not spending on, the things that I didn't, that I wanted previously. So a lot of people are saving and doing those things. As far as your credit and everything, all of the payments that you have on your credit report are liabilities that you made an agreement to make payment on. And whether it's a credit card or a mortgage, you're responsible for those payments. And there's a huge talk about forbearance, currently, and a lot of people entering forbearance. And people need to understand that in most cases, that's being looked at as a derogatory credit event. It's not being reported as late on a mortgage or as a credit report, but it is showing that the loan is in forbearance. That there is something going on when we run those credit reports. So, when people are looking at that, they absolutely have to continue making those payments if they want to continue forward, with a sale of a home and then an immediate their purchase thereafter, or even a refinance. Those things need to be put into play. And there's a lot of companies right now that are putting those gears in motion, even when the customers are just having that conversation. There's buttons on these online portals for their mortgage payment that, click here for forbearance information that's automatically triggering that event to happen. And I'm even seeing it with people that have made their payments on the first of the month every month, and their credit report showing up that they're in a forbearance position, and they have no idea that had even happened or was even.
How about that? So they're inadvertently entering themselves into a forbearance program just by clicking the button to ask for information on it. And
that's correct.
Wittingly, they have no idea. So they're continuing to make payments, but yet it shows up on their credit report that they're in the forbearance because it was an inadvertent mistake. And
it's not all companies, but there are some companies that have that triggering on their website directly.
And that's really unfortunate that that's happening for folks. So the advice, I guess, for folks who are still trying to do this and capable of making their mortgage payment, it sounds as if they really should be doing that if they're trying to sell their house and not take advantage of any forbearance program. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's correct. With the forbearance programs, if you're planning on making any changes, whether it's a refinance or a purchase, that can't be an option. And, I really do feel that the people that are utilizing those programs and specific probably are also and truly needing them are probably not going to be the people that are looking to do these,
Absolutely.
The purchase or refinance at those times. Those are going to be the folks that, truly, are in a position of hardship that, that are making, every effort that they can. And that's kind of their last ditch effort.
Exactly. And really grateful that the programs are there to utilize for folks in those situations who really need it. Because I know there are a lot of people who are out of work right now, but understanding they're probably not looking for houses right now. Those that are still out there looking for houses, tell us about what the rates are like.
Well, as I said earlier, in a lot of circumstances, we are still at the historic lows. Purchase rates, everybody wants the purchase business to come in. As much as, like I said earlier, sometimes the refinance rates were increased to slow down, volume coming through, was never the case with the purchase, market. So, we've been taking advantage of, some of the, obviously there's, turmoil and turbulence with all the markets going on right now. And when you have that historically, there is security in, the mortgage markets. So, with that, we have had, fantastic rates right now. And when we're looking at it here coming through, going through this, situation that we are currently with, the pandemic and such, all roads are, pointing that rates are going to stay in this territory for, the foreseeable future. The government wants people borrowing money. All these lenders want people borrowing money. And, you know, the housing market has to stay strong through this. And, you know, the government's already put in and said that they're going to use all their tools that they have possible to keep this, you know, to keep us moving and to keep our, you know, sector of the market strong. And, you know, through this, they really have, you know, stood true to that word. They've done a phenomenal job in, you know, freeing up funds for, you know, all the banks and all the lenders so that they can continue, you know, making loans possible. And, you know, with that, it's just made a phenomenal market for people that are out there looking to take advantage of this and to purchase a home, whether it's a, you know, a first home or, you know, they're moving up into their second or finding their forever home. You know, the money right now is really cheap to borrow. And you know, there's some tightening up in certain areas, but for most folks that we're seeing out there, you know, there are a lot of options out there on the table for them.
Oh, very good. Well, we really appreciate you guys being there, and it's good to hear. So if we get more houses in our inventory, I think that'll be good all around. So
I agree that I agree with that. There, I will have to say, and I think you probably agree. Just about every, you know, transaction that we are looking at, where, you know, offer that we're putting in is a multiple bid scenario. You know,
that's
multiple
indeed.
offers coming in, and, you know, time is of the essence. You know, people need to make sure that they have their pre-approvals in line. You know, they need to make sure that any changes they have in pay and their hours working, any changes at all, you know, they need to make sure they're communicating those with their realtor and their lender, you know, so that we can make any adjustments that need to be made. No surprises. We don't like those. And, you know, definitely take advantage. But I mean, been, it's been wild. It's, you know, when the world's kind of grinding to a halt around us and you see nothing going on, and to see this amount of activity is encouraging, that, and hopefully that when things get moving, everybody kind of takes off at this pace too.
Yeah, I hope as well. And I think that's our hope, is that the selling market is just a little bit on hold because people don't want, you know, folks don't want strangers in their house unnecessarily to create a health risk. But I think that's good advice to buyers, to communicate well with their lender that changes are important, and that will give people a step up, a step ahead over in those multiple offer situations. Because you're right, we are seeing those a lot just because of low inventory. So communication with the lender is good, and I will definitely communicate that to buyers to know that they need to stay in touch with you guys and keep things moving smoothly. So I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to say? Like, get one last blast in. You think it's important that we hear?
No, you know, I'm just trying to make sure everybody I talk to, you know, keep your head up. You know, I know that everybody says we're all in this together, but, you know, we all are doing this, and just, you know, everybody's been really cool with everything that's going on. I kind of feel like even in our industry, you know, I've seen a lot more, you know, flexibility with timelines and more understanding amongst, you know, realtors, title companies, you know, appraisers and everything. And I think that everybody needs to maybe take a little portion of that when this all ends, and keep with that, you know.
We'll continue to reach out and try and sell some houses. Make some.
Absolutely.
Very good. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for your time.
Hey, thank you. You have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Bye-bye.